Hello, everybody.
Throat clearing there.
There we go. Had to get it out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Strangers and Exiles podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Toyrak. This is my co-host, Daniel Toyrak Sr.
God bless you all in the sweet name of Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior of this world.
Amen. Getting off of Buddhism after quite a few episodes that was.
Wow, that was long.
Yeah.
And we still haven't gone to the temple. We still have. My mom's gone there like 5 times. I still haven't gone. Okay, let me clarify that. She has not gone into. Yeah. She has driven by. Because then she's going to be like, oh, then people think I was soy una budita. Like, no. Relax. It's just, she's driven by. But then again, she works near there.
In that area. Yeah. So now moving off of that, we're going into something that you found interesting watching one of your debates is the Church of Satan, a Satanist community.
Dude, I've been completely addicted to watching debates. I don't know what it is. I like to debate people, but I didn't know that it was a thing on the internet. Suddenly, I don't know where I find, and I can't stop watching debates. I watch debates all the time. So now I'm watching this one debate between a Christian and a Buddhist, Buddhist, a Christian, and an atheist. So I'm like, all right. Then the atheist starts saying that he's a Satanist, and I was like, I've heard of that. Let me look it up. So I looked it up, and I found it to be quite interesting, mostly because the concept coming from our circles, in other words, religious Christian circles. If I were to tell you, Junior, I'm studying up on Satanists, you would say, oh, the devil. Dun, dun, dun. A couple weeks ago, I was telling Andy from our church, we're talking about Buddhism, and I was like, yeah, I'm so happy that I'm finishing up with Buddhism because I'm already starting to study on this next thing. And she's like, oh, what are you studying next? And I said, Satanism. She gave me a look like, no, that's so scary. That's so once again, the concept of what we think Satanism is actually not what Satanism is. So we're going to go through this now. This was supposed to be a one-night thing. And really it can be, but I downloaded the Satanic Bible and I started reading through it. And I told Junior, this Bible is interesting. Like, So then I gave it to him, and then he started reading through it. Then I found another Satanic Bible PDF file that it was more cohesive, because the other one that I downloaded had a bunch of ads and junk in it. And then he started reading that, and he was like, man, this is crazy. So I think we're going to do today the background, and then next time we're going to do like some readings from the Bible, just so that people can have an understanding of where it's coming from. So.
And generally, just so like we were saying, it's not like direct worship of Satan. What Satanists believe is that no religion, no spiritual, no afterlife, no ethereal plane, none of it is real. They just believe in now our life here on earth, what you should be doing.
They're basically atheists that like to give themselves a name.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because all Satanists are atheists.
Yeah.
But not all atheists are Satanists. So Satanists, they align themselves with the teachings and the values of the originator of this sect, this cult, the satanic cult, even though they don't believe in Satan, which is the ironically weird thing about it. They're called Satanists, but they don't actually believe that Satan is real or exists. They just like what Satan has provided the world in the sense of he is the personification of evil, whereas we'll get into it because in the overview, I'm not explaining the whole thing.
So in this thing it's more of like a government document, this first thing that we're starting off with. And it starts with the history and the background of the Church of Satan, originally started by one man. His name is Anton Sandor LaVey.
And that's not his real name.
I don't know how to say his middle name, but it's not his real name.
I know. I call him Xandor. No, that's not like his birth name. That's not his Christian name. That's something that he gave himself after. No, but Junior mentioned the document that we're reading from. Just so you know it's legit. Because you guys might be saying, where does he find stuff on the internet? Because I literally Google Satanist PDF free.
Yeah.
And then whatever comes up, right? But then this document, it's actually from the Department of Corrections. And it's basically the Department of Corrections. They created a whole file where they mentioned all of the religions that are within like prison systems, you know? So then when I found this and I read through it, I'm like, oh, this is a nice, like, brief. It isn't a 200-page book that you make me read every time we start something. This is just like 5-7 pages, and it kind of just, it tells you what's up. So just so you know, it's legit. This came from the cops. The cops put this together.
It's generally very neutral. It doesn't have a sort of standing on any sort of religion either.
No. It basically just explains the religion.
Yeah,
because it has this file has a whole bunch of religions, and I actually went through some of the other ones, and they just tell you what they believe. They don't say, oh, these people are bad or whatever, or they're in the corner killing cats or whatever. They just basically tell you what the actual religion is.
Yeah. And it starts off going into history and background, and it's something that started in the 60s, originally the actual religion. But as we can see, his ideology was a little bit earlier than that.
Man, the 60s were crazy. When you think back in history of the United States, between the civil rights movement and going to the moon, and Martin Luther King
and the Korean War was in that decade too, right?
No, the Korean War was in the 50s.
50s? Oh.
In the 60s, it was Vietnam, and our buddy, what was his name? The president?
Nixon?
Tricky Dick? Yeah, Nixon. Him with the tapes, and then, all of that going on. Malcolm X getting killed. Bobby Kennedy getting shot and killed. Ask not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you, We started out with the Bay of Pigs, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and then the whole Cold War, and then we moved on to social, and then the hippies arrived, like all these hippies everywhere, free love, free love. When you think about a decade, the 60s was nutty, and it got even nuttier with this Anton Szandor LaVey. If things weren't crazy already enough in the world, homeboy decides to come up with a whole new thing. And he calls himself, he creates what is called the Church of Satan. The Church of Satan. And the head of his church is that goat-looking figure with like a star on his forehead. And it's called Baphomet. Did you look it up? Yeah, I told Junior to have that one in the trigger, in the chamber.
Essentially, it's kind of the modern interpretation of what Satan looks like. With the goat head and the pentagram on his head, you get a good one, like a statue.
Yeah, zoom into that one. Oh no, you got to actually open up the website. Yeah, the picture.
Oh, you can buy this.
Amazon. Like, what are you doing on Amazon buying Baphomet model? Yeah, look, that's Baphomet. I don't know if you can see it, but you could Google it. Go to Prophet Google and look up Baphomet, and you'll see. This is the same structure that they wanted the Satanists. When they were trying to get rid of the 10 Commandments, and one of the states I think didn't want to get rid of the 10 Commandments, so then they said, well, we want to put a statue of Baphomet next to the 10 Commandments. And then it was a whole thing. All right, so it was founded on April 30th, 1966 in San Francisco by Anton Szandor LaVey. The Church of Satan is the first above-ground religious organization dedicated to the acceptance of man's nature as an animal living in a cosmos that is indifferent to his existence. In other words, it's the first, to wrap that up, it is the first religion that you accept your nature, that you live in a world, or what we would call in a realm that could care less about the fact that you exist. In other words, every religion always will lead you one way or one another to some sort of greater type of end result. For the Christian, it is the promise of heaven with Jesus and with God, and then new heavens and new earth. Man, producer, you got to wash your feet. I just can't help it. I mean, I'm looking at that, and it's like, all right. Sorry, everybody. It really is disturbing, the bottom of her foot. But she walks everywhere barefoot. Well, that doesn't say much about our floors, does it? Yeah, I got to vacuum tomorrow. Sorry about that. That's just personal stuff. That's what happens when your producer is your wife. I mean, what are you going to do, you know? So it is, every religion leads you somewhere. In Christianity, it's heaven. In Islam, it is paradise. In Hinduism, it is bloop, 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 reabsorbed back into Brahman. In Buddhism, it is the Pure Land experience. It is somehow reaching your enlightenment. And if you go on and on, obviously, if you break down every Christian type of sect, a grouping, all of them have some sort of a God figure. All of them have some sort of a heaven type place that where your soul will eternally go. Satanism, they basically say none of that exists. None of that matters. It is the only religion in which you live in a world where the world could care less about you. You're just a person living in the world. To Satanists, Satan is a symbol. It's very important that we understand that symbol. They don't worship Satan. They don't even believe Satan exists. Satan is just, in their worldview, it is a construct of religion because every religion has to have a bad guy.
Yeah.
You can't have religion and not have a bad guy, because then that religion really, it doesn't give you any motivation to do good unless you're threatened with, oh, the bad guy is going to get you, you know. And obviously for us, we believe in Satan. Almost 2 billion Muslims believe in Shaitan, Iblis, whatever they call it.
Even the Hindus and the Buddhists, they kind of like look at yourself as your own villain in a way.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to like be denying yourself of your worldly urges to be nicer to other people.
Exactly.
And love others.
But as we covered, the Hindus do have a like mean devil god,
guess,
you know, that we covered. So Satan is a symbol who represents pride, liberty, and individualism, qualities often defined as evil by people who believe in and worship external deities. So in other words, obviously, Jesus came to this world. Paul gives us all of his theology throughout his letters. Obviously, pride and individualism, and those are all things that they don't directly go against the Christian message, but they are definitely not part of what it is to be a true Christian. You know, you live as your salvation is individual, but you are part of now a collective body of Christ.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible says that you are to be humble. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to get to next time when we read some excerpts from the Satanic Bible, where Anton LaVey basically took Jesus' Sermon on the Mount and completely blasphemed the entire Sermon on the Mount. Qualities, okay, often defined. Satanism is thus not devil worship. There is no belief in God, Satan, the soul, the supernatural, or in any form of an afterlife. So realistically, all they're doing is using Satan as a symbol to go against what society has deemed to be right. Throughout all history, every single culture has had religions, albeit false or true. In the Old Testament, we have the true God being worshipped in the form of Yahweh, but then around them, they were worshiping Baal, they were worshiping Moloch, they were worshiping Dagon, they were worshiping all of these other false deities, but Israel had the true God. Then on this side of the cross, the world has the true God in the form of Jesus Christ and God the Father and the Holy Spirit, which indwells us. But Satanism basically says, we don't believe in any of that. All you guys have done is create this because every culture needs to, this is what they say. Every culture needs to create a religion so that they could do multiple things. They can keep people in line. They could keep people in check. It is they consider it as a way of controlling people. So then they use more of a philosophical basis to say, you know what, this is all created. Every God is created by a man, and it is always used to hurt other mankind. It is all false. So now, how did he come up with these ideas? His earthly experiences led him to reject religion in general as being unrealistic in their beliefs. He saw existing religions as a means for controlling the masses. And since most people seem to want and need some sort of unearthly parental figure, I like the way he wrote that there. Everyone wants and needs some sort of unearthly parental figure, God the Father. Okay. He considered that most religions had been invented to meet that need. But LaVey, and it's a lot of reading, but don't worry about it. But LaVey noticed throughout history that there were iconoclastic men, creative thinkers who were not believers, such as Nietzsche, George Bernard Shaw, Mark Twain, Lord Byron, and others who saw Satan as not representing evil. So in other words, these people didn't see Satan as representing evil, but as a figure who embodied human resistance to authority. So once again, they're taking a very earthly view here. They don't believe in God, so they can't believe in the authority of God. But they, once again, since they are completely blinded by the devil anyway, I mean, literally their religion is named after the devil. You can't really, you can't guilt them for them having these views because they just don't believe in any sort of God.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were at least agnostic, where they believed in a God, they just, don't believe in my God or whatever. But they go way out there to the point that there is no God, there's nothing, it's all human created, it's all, it's kind of tough to reason with them. That's why I'd like to go back and see some more debates with these this one guy, just to see, because I saw another debate with another guy that was a Satanist, and he was very aggressive towards the Christian. He was very, like, using foul language, but being very aggressive every time the Christian would say something. It was with Cliff and the son.
Oh, really?
Knuckle.
Yeah, Connectly.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I would say Knuckle because I don't know how to say his name. But he was being very, very aggressive towards the Christians, and every time the Christians would say something, you would just see him like just foaming at the mouth, But yeah, they are just blinded. So obviously they look at Christians or any sort of organized religion as people, as something that is there to suppress. But then they see Satan as not being mean, not being evil, but as someone who is resist the authority of what society deems normal for you. In other words, society says that you could be gay, you could be straight, you could walk around anywhere you want, and you could live your life the way you want to do. If you want to be Christian, go to church on Sunday. If you don't want to be Christian, then don't be Christian. If you want to believe in your house, believe in your house. But now, how does society, and I'm talking about the West, primarily, let's just talk about here in the United States. How does society view someone walking down the street? Or let's just say you go to Dolphin Mall, and the guy is wearing a pentagram with black, and then a big thing of Baphomet, and then he's basically saying, Satan, Satan, Satan. Like, our society, half of the people in Dolphin Mall would just grab their kids and walk away, right?
Yeah.
And then you might have one guy that's engaging with the guy. But most people they will do this like, scum of society, trash, I mean, look at this guy. I mean, because we live in a society where even if you're an atheist, you would look at that as very strange behavior.
Yeah.
You would just say, dude, you don't believe in God. You don't got to walk around flaunting Baphomet everywhere, So in other words, the Satanists, this guy LaVey, he looked at people from the past who championed the pleasures of life on earth, who saw through the falsehoods and accepted the harsh realities of life. LaVey noted that there was no systematic philosophy which those bright rebels could embrace, so he set out to create it. He began with a magic circle of fellow freethinkers in the late 50s and early 60s. So basically, since society had created this already structure in place where with religion, with respect, with laws, that there was nothing that was created where you could just be like, you know what? I don't believe in God. I want to live my life here. There's no eternal soul. There's no eternal damnation. There is nothing of that. And then they start saying, well, to mock the Christians, we can use Satan. because Satan is a symbol of rebellion against what somebody deems as right. And of course, what they use somebody is God.
Yeah.
God creates a moral code. Satan rebels against that moral code. I don't believe in God. I don't believe that God created a moral code. I don't like the fact that my society is telling me that I have to live my life a certain way or do a certain thing. So guess what? I like Satan. Oh, I'm sorry. Not me. I'm talking as if I'm one of them. Lord, you know, that wasn't me. So then they say, let me use Satan to rebel against the construct that has been created by the religious people. He was an experienced showman who he chose to announce the formation of his Church of Satan on April 30th, known traditionally as, because I can't figure that word out.
Walpurgisnacht?
I know it's German, right? Is
Yeah,
that a
it's German.
word?
Walpurgisnacht.
Yeah, you can actually Google that. I think it's a day. It's a thing, you know. The night when supposedly the forces of darkness held sway. He called 1966 the year one Anno Satanas. Year one Anno Satanas. Using the Roman numeral 1 to designate that year. Interesting.
Oh, it's a holiday celebrating a saint.
Did they say what saint?
It's, Walpurgis.
What did he do? Like, what was he known for?
Battling pests, rabies, and whooping cough, as well as against witchcraft. So more of like a guy, like a doctor kind of guy.
So, but in other words, are they doing it like to mock him because the guy was a saint that fought against witchcraft?
I think that's what he's saying. So we didn't mention this, but he was his original career was in the carnival and in the circus. So I think that's when they're saying that his showman was trying to he was trying to make it a thing by mocking the Christian holiday and making it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. LaVey performed rituals, weddings, baptisms, and funerals, and invited the press, who found the voluptuous, get this, nude women who served as altars of the flesh to be sensational photo opportunities. So you got to imagine this guy in San Francisco opens a church, calls it the Church of Satan. Up there on the altar, he has voluptuous nude women, basically spitting in the face of any sort of holy, any sort of really correct way of doing things. So, of course, obviously the press ate that up. I mean, it's a given. Imagine you open up a church like that, shocking.
Yeah.
Imagine if it happened today. Like if he opened that today. Obviously, he opened up 60 years ago. They didn't really have any. The press was very limited to city by city. Now, those Instagram and TikTok things will go nuts, you know? Yeah. In 1969, he published the Satanic Bible, which codified his philosophy and presented rituals which were intended as cathartic psychodramas to release pent-up emotions rather than as forms of worship, which I actually started reading through some of those today. The whole, magic aspect of it, and then you got to speak a special language to be able to do it, which we'll get to that later. Membership then grew rapidly, and thus the organization became international in scope. Famous early members include actress Jane Mansfield and entertainer Sammy Davis Jr. Yeah, man. Sammy Davis Jr. LaVey attracted a number of rock musicians who were proud to publicly claim affiliation, amongst whom were King Diamond, Mark Almond, and Jr.'s favorite, Marilyn Manson. Have you ever even heard a Marilyn Manson song? I think I heard one. It's just like, yeah. I don't understand anything they say.
I guess in terms of publicity, joining the Church of Satan as a rock band would probably be.
No, in terms of publicity, I mean, if you're a rock band and you're seen at the Church of Satan, putting your arm around Baphomet, I'd imagine you would sell more discs.
Yeah, especially back then.
Yeah, especially back then. At the time of his death on October 29th, 1997, 2 days short of Halloween, Anton LaVey left the Church of Satan under the command of Magistra Blanche Barton. his consort, which was also the mother of his third child. And if you want to know the name of the third child, the third child's name was Satan Xerxes Karnaki LaVey. Can imagine that college application. My name is Satan Xerxes. Okay. And he also left it in charge to the chief administrative officer of the church for the preceding 15 years, who at that time was the officially appointed high priestess, which we're going to get into all of those categories in a bit.
Yeah, there's a whole like ranking to the I wouldn't even call it like a priesthood. I don't think they call it that themselves, but I guess the leadership, the hierarchy, the whole thing.
Well, they call it the priesthood, but it's to perform these rituals and ceremonies and baptisms and all that.
So now,
do they what are their baptisms for? Is it like ours is to cleanse and purify ourselves? Is theirs like to make yourself filthy?
I guess.
Like, is it the opposite effect?
Yeah.
Because I didn't read if they like do they fill it up with blood, or is it like, I don't know. I haven't gotten too far into the Bible yet. Or their Bible.
Yeah. The next aspect of this is the actual theology and the major teachings of Satanism. And it starts off by saying, at its base, it's a rational philosophy of pragmatism, materialism, and skepticism. So obviously a very atheistic, non-believing kind of stand on philosophy here.
Exactly. They generally promote a libertarian point of social view with an emphasis on law and order, to maintain the social contract all people accept by participating in civilization. So in other words, they are not what one would perceive from the outside. From the outside, they're very much like everybody live right according to society. This one Satanist, that he is very much a very left-wing Democrat type, he's very much for, gay, trans rights, all of that. Then of course the Christian was presenting more of the biblical worldview, and then he was just like, it's oppressive, the same talking points that they give. So in other words, in their view of society, it isn't what one would think, where it's like, oh, these are like the deranged outcasts of society. No, they actually want a regular, these Satanists.
Yeah.
I do need to say this. The majority of the people that call themselves Satanists are these Satanists. We have to have a base understanding of that. There are other groups of Satanists that actually believe in Satan. Yeah, those are I think they call them, I forgot what they have an actual name for them. Those are the minority. And then furthermore, there are Satanists that are part of the dark occult, that they get into the darker type of rituals. These Satanists that we're talking about here, they do magic, they do rituals, they do different chants and all of that. But then you do have those small splinter groups of people that like will take a baby on Halloween and sacrifice it. You know what I'm saying? Like those way off people. And then obviously you have splintering from those groups. You have like the Wicca. You have the Wicca people. Different types. By the way, man, I got really heavy into reading about Santeria yesterday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Dude, I started reading about Santeria, man. I got all up into it, man. I downloaded book after book, bro. So if you want to hit up Santeria, I think you'd like it. Mm. The reason why I was interested in Santeria is because when they're in their purification process, they have to wear all white, like from head to toe. And it's awesome because if you go to Dolphin Mall on a Saturday, you'll probably see like 20 of these people, like just walking around Dolphin Mall all white. You already know that they're into Santeria. All right. Satan in Hebrew means the adversary or accuser, and LaVey felt that there was a need for a perspective that opposed all forms of spiritual belief, either Western or Eastern. Satanism is a counterposition to spiritual beliefs. Since Satanists see themselves as being carnal, they do not believe that there is any form of the spiritual. But that does not mean that Satanists wish to eradicate other religious perspectives or to convert people of faith. The satanic position is live and let live. so long as other religions don't try to force Satanists into their beliefs through involuntary conversion or legislation of them. See, this is where they get a little bit more spicy.
Yeah.
When you start to create laws that favor one religion as opposed to others. And sadly, we're starting to see this in a lot of states, especially a lot of the Republican states, where they literally are creating laws that it puts Christianity above everything else, and it starts to oppress other religions. And then see, that's where the Satanists, they have a problem with that. The Satanist view of the human species is that there are people who are from birth either inclined towards the spiritual, which is wanting guidance from something they wish to perceive as being above or greater than themselves. So in other words, there's two types of people. One type of people, spiritual, those are the ones that are seeking something bigger than themselves, some sort of a God. Or inclined towards the carnal. That's the other type of person. Meaning that they are the center of their own subjective universes and that they take the responsibility for creating their own hierarchy of values rather than being handed rules supposedly coming from some deity or political authority. So in other words, on one side, the spiritual, we would land in that camp. On the other side, the carnal, that they want to really kind of create their own form of morality, and they don't want either the politician or the religion to impose some of the laws or the rules that comes from their supposed God.
Yeah.
So in other words, don't show me the 10 Commandments. That was made up. That's what they say. Islam, don't show me Sharia law. That's made up. Buddhism, don't give me the 9 steps of this and the 8 steps of that and the 4-fold this and the 8-fold that and the 13 this and the 24 that and the 61 this. Don't give me none of that. That's all made up. All right.
I find interesting is that they believe from birth people are one or the other.
Yeah, from birth, right? Yeah, you can only be one of those two. You can only be spiritual or you could be carnal.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you're not spiritual, if you're not okay, but even within the spiritual, how many non-practicing Catholics are there in the world?
A lot.
I mean, are they spiritual or carnal? Because they did their confession, they did their baptism and all of that.
Yeah.
Are they are they carnal? See, I think there's a third type that they didn't get to here. Like in other words, the one that leans spiritually but lives life more carnally. All right, whatever. It's stupid, this guy anyway. The carnal types are generally secular people, often humanist and atheist and Satanist. And Satanists see themselves as a subset of those supporting secular free thought. Satanists are thus not neo-pagans, nor do they consider their philosophy to be a faith, since faith itself is rejected as being a blind belief in forces that do not exist. Reason is championed by Satanists as the tool for understanding existence. So once again, they consider themselves an offshoot of secular humanists or atheists. They support free thought. They are not neo-pagans, nor do they have philosophy of faith. They don't have faith because faith is for you to believe in something that isn't, they say, is not real. Okay. To paraphrase what Anton LaVey explained in his fundamental work, The Satanic Bible, this is what he said, man invented all the gods, doing so because many humans cannot accept or control their personal egos, feeling compelled to conjure up one or a multiplicity of characters who can act without hindrance or guilt upon whims and desires. Worshipping any god is thus worshipping by proxy those who invented that god. So in other words, if I worship Jesus, I'm also worshiping the one who invented Jesus. Okay, so I'm also worshiping Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John then.
I guess.
All right, and Paul and Peter. Okay.
That's where like this whole thing, especially the last paragraph, kind of falls apart for me. Is because you're presupposing that there's like no evidence for any of the religions at all. It's when realistically, at least for the Bible, there's a bunch of evidence, both in the Bible and outside the Bible, historical evidence for the existence of Jesus.
Have you seen any of those debates with the atheists? Yeah, you should check some out. They're on Modern Day Debate. Like, you just got to scroll through the list. I mean, just so that you can get a perspective, like why they hold their views. And then, of course, during their openings, and then obviously throughout the entire debate, you really start to learn. Oh, these guys, this is their worldview. They literally believe in nothing. Like, everything is invented, and the guy that's really aggressive. His name is Aaron. He looks like he has long hair. He looks like a Satanist. And then the other guy who is not a Satanist, but he's an atheist, is T-Jump. Very smart guy, very intelligent guy. But yeah, I look at them in debates and I'm like, what would it be like to live your life not believing in anything? Like, to me, that's like worse than the Hindu Buddhist thing of the reincarnation bit. I mean, it's like there's no hope in anything. You live your life for today. You work, and then when you die, you're done. And of course, they're a nihilist, so they believe that when you die, that's it. You're died. You're dead. There's no soul. There's none of that. You died. You're in the body. You're in the ground. That's it. Your children move on. Anyway, so that's just I'm just sad, but it is what it is. Since the Satanist understands that all gods are fiction, instead of bending a knee and worship to or seeking friendship or unity with such mythical entities, he places himself at the center of his own universe as his own highest value. Satanists are thus their own gods, and as beneficent deities can offer love to those who deserve it and deliver wrath upon those who seek to cause the Satanists or that which they cherish harm. So since you don't believe in anything else, you only believe in yourself, thus you elevate yourself, your ego, into deity God status. And then since you are now that God status, just as God, you can deliver love to those who you want to, and you can deliver wrath to those who you want to. Man, sick worldview. Satanism does not promote unbridled hedonism, since such would show a lack of discipline and respect for the rights of others. Instead, Satanism promotes Epicureanism, a self-disciplined approach to indulging with moderation in the pleasures that life offers. So just because you become a Satanist, that isn't like, straight up orgies everywhere.
Yeah.
No. You respect others, the rights of others, but you do indulge with moderation in the pleasures that life have to offer. And that's one of their big tenets, is enjoy everything this world has to offer, which is hilarious because we Christians, we consider ourselves strangers and exiles here on this earth because we are living for something greater than this. They, just as Satan does, Satan flips everything upside down and then creates a religion, which is not really a religion. This is just one of many false religions out there, but creates a lifestyle that goes completely against the lifestyle that we have been tasked to live as followers of Jesus Christ. Satanism endorses all forms of human sexuality between consenting adults, including heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, or even asexuality. Fetishism is encouraged as a means for sexual expression. Sex with children and non-human animals is forbidden. They do got some lines. They do have some boundaries. Let's give them some love for that. Funny enough, they have boundaries that the last prophet of Allah didn't even have, which was having sex with children. What is the thing? The thing for Aisha in those videos? whatever. It's one of those like memes, like hashtag support for Aisha. Something like, it's one of those things. Man, don't get me started, man. I'm gonna jump on the Muslims hard, bro. I started watching Christian Prince again today, man. I'm serious. Since there is no faith or worship in Satanism, there are no regular services nor any church buildings. The priesthood functions as authorized spokespersons for the philosophy, not ministers to a congregation. Satanism, the Satanism of the Church of Satan was officially recognized by the government of the United States when it was included in their Department of the Army Manual for Chaplains. So at some point they are recognized by the government, even though I'm sure it doesn't matter what side you're on, left or right, unless you're far left, that you would not really endorse this as any sort of religion, but or as any sort of really organized group, but it is what it is.
I find it odd that they draw a line. Obviously, like, I guess it's better that they do draw the line for sex with children and animals, but where does that come from, that line? Just our laws that you can't do that? Because it's technically illegal to be doing that stuff.
In other words, where did the moral compass come into play for that? If there is no God that there is no God created moral compass within the human being, because I think, and that's actually one of the debates that I saw with one of the atheists with a Christian, where they really, the whole debate was about morality.
Yeah. And
they were really getting psychological about it. Like, it got deep. Even I was like, man, I don't understand half the stuff they're saying, but all right, I'll go with it. I like to watch stuff that I don't really get because somehow it sticks in my brain. And then when I hear it again, then I'm like, ooh. So, but yeah, if there is no God that did not create any sort of moral compass, how is it that these people intrinsically know that having sex with a donkey or with a 9-year-old is wrong? Is it because the society that is, let's just say, the United States of America, a Christian society, even though there is a separation of church and state, but many laws always really go down to the Mosaic law. A lot of societal laws always, they kind of have their foundation in some sort of law. You have the Code of Hammurabi, you have the Mosaic law, and then of course Muhammad completely made up the Sharia law. He just took pieces of different laws of different cultures and just pieced it together into the Quran. But why not have kids with the donkey? I mean, sex with the donkey.
I think for them.
But what if somebody, that's their pleasures of this life? Like, okay, look, I know it sounds stupid, but what if somebody, their pleasure is to mate with a donkey? Or with a German Shepherd? I don't know, whatever you want to call it. That's no good. No, that's bad. So right off the bat, all the PDF files, you know what I mean by that, right? Yeah, I don't want to get the people that enjoy young people. Right off the bat, none of them are Satanist. But then where did Anton LaVey, where did his moral compass say, okay, look, you could do all of this. You could do this. You could do that. You can we're cool with the homosexuals. We're cool with the heterosexuals. We're cool with bisexuals. We're cool with asexuals. We're cool with trannies. We're cool with this. With all of that is fine. Fetishism. Oh man, you like staring at feet because feet turn you on. Not those feet. Those feet, no bueno. Yeah, but I know because I used to listen to a radio program where they used to have people with fetishes, and there was one guy that he was into feet, and that was like his weird people. Okay, everybody has their thing. So all of that is okay, but then suddenly out of nowhere, no children and no donkeys.
I think I already know their answer is that it'll fall down to consent, and I guess their argument would be a child can't really fully consent in that way, and an animal definitely can't consent to you in that way.
So Aisha holding a doll, according to Muhammad and his interpretation within the hadith, he says, since she didn't say no. In other words, she gave her consent by not speaking out.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if the donkey, when he sees you walking over to you, he goes, like in a, hey baby, like like, but like, and then you look at it, and the donkey makes eye contact with you, and then suddenly you got that cheesy clip that they have, like music appear, then like little hearts, and then would that be, in other words, at that point the donkey is consenting. All right, I'm going places to try to dissect this argument.
The next section of this is their actual. I'm not going to say worship, even though it says it here. Is their ceremonies and their rites and their rituals. Obviously, they don't have any worship, and that's the first sentence. There's no worship in Satanism.
Yeah, it literally starts out with that.
Yeah,
and this is where I want to read more of the Satanic Bible because I want to read more about this part. Funny enough, this might actually turn out to be 3 episodes, but I don't know that yet. Only because as I was reading that other Bible, the one that has, remember, the questions and answers and all of that, there was a lot of interesting stuff down there. Like there was a lot of stuff to talk about. But then I also want to talk about the rituals and the ceremonies. So we'll see. There is no worship in Satanism. Animal sacrifice is not permitted in satanic rites and ceremonies. So I guess the whole blood thing, throw that out the window. All right. Ritual used as a cathartic psychodrama may be performed at the choice of the Satanist. And the basic text for this are present in the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. Rituals can be at any time of the day or night as desired, but should be in a space in which all outside light may be cut off. Completely dark room. The light within provided by one or more black candles. They got to be black candles. The room should offer privacy for the release of emotions verbally, and if a lust ritual is performed, masturbation to climax is expected, and that should be done in private. So I guess one of their rituals is a lust ritual,
I guess.
And that includes some sort of a masturbation up until you end. Do that in private. We don't need, everybody doesn't need to see that. So, all right. Once again, I haven't read these rituals. I'm gonna skim through them. This one gets even more interesting. It has been traditional in group ritual. Pay attention. It has been traditional in group ritual to have a nude or semi-nude woman recline on a platform to serve as an altar. Weren't we just talking about that, the Tom Cruise movie the other day?
Oh, the Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah. You think they got a little bit of this?
Probably.
All right, let's see. But as it is stated in the Satanic Bible, this is not required. Tools for ritual include the text for the rite, which that's in the Satanic Bible, a table or platform to serve as an altar, black candles, and an additional white candle if a destruction ritual is performed. Ooh, so if you're doing a destruction, I have to read these rituals, see what they're all about. You also need a bell, ding ding, a cup to hold a beverage pleasing to the taste of the performer. It is not required to be alcoholic, so it could be Coke, whatever. 7-Up, whatever you want, bro. It's all good. A sword, and that can be substituted with a stick or a wand, if you're into Harry Potter. A gong, boom. Didn't we say we were going to get a gong? Do they sell mini gongs to put on the table? Yeah, they do.
It's a thing.
Like a mini gong?
Yeah. It doesn't sound like all deep, but it's a thing.
Good. That 5 mini gongs on Amazon. I want to put one here. Boom. All right. Or a symbol. Okay, now is where it gets a little bit weird. A phallic symbol. I have to assume everybody knows what that means.
Yeah.
Explain.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm going to drink water. Explain to them what a phallic symbol is.
I mean, a thing in the shape, a cylindrical shape, I guess.
It's an item in the form of a penis.
Yeah.
We're all adults here, right? Come on. I like how he got all uncomfortable there. Oh, so it's okay for me to do the heavy lifting, right? You get to sit there and laugh. You also need water in a bowl. The water can be flickered with the fingers when no phallic symbol is used. You need paper and pen. for writing a request to be burned in either the flame of a black or the white candle. You need a fireproof dish, which is best to hold the ashes of the burned paper. The wall above the altar should have the sigil of Baphomet. Ooh. A goat face and a pentagram surrounded by two circles within which are the Hebrew characters spelling Leviathan starting at the bottom point and written counterclockwise. Ooh. You need to have the sigil of Baphomet. So yeah, that's some of it. Obviously, I'm gonna do more research into this. To be honest with you, I just found that Satanic Bible today, the one that I gave you, and where it's easier to read. Because the first one that I downloaded, it was more of a commentary on the Satanic Bible. I actually found the Satanic Bible, which I could I could actually read it.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. Next week, Tanya might put a white and black candle on the table. I don't know. I don't know what she's doing. Or the gong. Get the gong.
So the gong will be funnier.
Just so we can have fun with it. Boom, like every minute, a couple minutes. All
right. The next section is talking about the holy books, short section. Just it's various books, not only the Bible, the Satanist Bible, written all by Anton LaVey, which apparently they say is required to be read.
Yeah, yeah, it's the whole thing. Yeah, basically all of the books that he wrote.
Yeah.
Anton LaVey wrote, but the main one is the Satanic Bible, because it includes all the philosophical parts of it, but it also includes all the ritual practices, which once again we're going to read more about and get a little bit more into.
The next part is the holy days and the festivals of Satanism, which I found in a way somewhat interesting because they say there are no holy days but your birthday because it's a self-centered religion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, it's all about you. But they actually do have several days throughout the year that are important to them. Since Satanism is a self-centered religion, the highest holy day of the year would be the Satanist's own birthday, which needs no ritual, but should be spent in doing things a Satanist would enjoy. There is no requirement that a Satanist celebrate any holidays, and there are no hard and fast traditions or rites associated with them. In particular, April 30th, called
Walpurgisnacht,
is the spring climax and the anniversary of the founding of the Church of Satan, and that is generally noted. Halloween, October 31st, is the fall climax and may be celebrated as a time when one's inner self might be explored through the use of a costume, or one might recall those of importance in one's life who has died, as was done in European, the Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
Dia de los Muertos.
I mean, Halloween is originally a Catholic holiday.
There's a lot of debate, man, because you can actually go back on Halloween. There's a lot of different viewpoints. In other words, there is no dogmatic, this is the origin story of that, so. Mm-hmm.
And next is now
going... Which, by the way, I started reading today about Norse mythology. I don't know why. I got stuck on it because we're watching Vikings. Mm-hmm. And I just started reading about, anyway.
Next now is talking about the hierarchy, which is now going into the actual priesthood and magisterium of the Church of Satan.
All right, this is where it gets, for me, it gets a little bit interesting, only because we go to a church where we are a corporate entity. We do have hierarchy within our church. We have leaders, we have deacons, and all of that, elders. The Church of Satan has a system of degrees. I guess kind of akin to what is this? The Masons. The criteria for elevation being based not on mysticism or occultism, but on knowledge of practical subjects beyond Satanism. And even more than that, on the application of such wisdom towards measurable ends. Explain that to the audience.
I guess it's, the way I understood it is that they want people that are actually smart to be leaders, and it doesn't really matter, your religious knowledge, I guess.
Okay. Godfather 2 quote. I'm going to do it. I'm not dumb. I'm smart. Sorry, Fredo at the end would. Basically, you go high up in the organization, not because you're really good at doing rituals, or not because it's because you're smart. You actually have something to offer them. Not the fact that you go there and then you're like a third degree this or a fifth degree. No, it's because you got money. No, it's because you know things. You know people. Degrees should not be seen as initiatory steps, which are expected of members, since the Church of Satan is not an initiatory organization. No member is required to move beyond registered membership. The first degree, denoting active membership, so in other words, the beginning is registered membership. You don't have to do anything besides that. You could just be registered. The first degree is active membership. It's only for members who seek more involvement with the organization and other local members. So if you actually want to get involved, you want to get to know your fellow Satanists, then you move up to level 1 there, which you are active member. The remaining degrees from the second through the fifth are not open to application or to request. Woo. So you could hang out, yo. You want to be part of us, bro? You want to go Friday night bowling? Yeah, we'll do that. All good. You're active member. But from stage 2 to stage 5, you can't ask for that. That isn't upon request. That is, they go to you. And they say, hey, that's when you get like, what was that movie that we saw with the secret societies, where like they were hoping to get part of the secret society, and then suddenly like they had a thing on their pillow, like, oh, they were accepted into the secret society. Our secret standards for them will not be publicly released. There you go. You're in a cult when you don't know how to get out the cult or how you get in the cult. So in other words, these standards for levels 2 through 5, they're not going to let you know how they measure people to get to those levels.
Yeah.
The administration watches the progress of qualified members and may choose to grant recognition to outstanding individuals based on demonstrated excellence in the understanding and communication of satanic theory, coupled with significant potent practices in the arena, get this, of the real world, which have produced superior achievements. There you go. So they grant level 2, 3, 4, 5 to people that have demonstrated excellence in understanding the theory, and they have real world experience, and they have produced superior achievements. Registered membership is open to anyone who wishes to support the Church of Satan and requires a payment of a $200 fee. So for $200, you become a member of the Church of Satan. And just in case anybody interested, www.churchofsatan.com.
It's kind of expensive.
I know, right?
Atheism is free. I don't know, like.
First of all, atheism is free. Christianity is free because Christ paid the price for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, $200 is a lot of money. It's like, it's what? So your name could be on some website or something?
Yeah, I guess.
Something? Okay. So the registered member is 0 degree. The active member is a Satanist first degree. Now is where we get interesting here. A witch or warlock is a 2nd degree. The priestess or the priest is the 3rd degree. The magistra or magister is the 4th degree. And at the top of it all is the maga or the magus, 5th degree. Those who hold the 3rd through 5th degrees are all members of the priesthood of Mendes. And individuals with these titles may be called reverend. Can you imagine? A Church of Satanists calling somebody a reverend? Ridiculous. And this, now I guess we're going to end.
Now is what were you just saying, the priesthood of the Mendes, which is the higher echelons of Satanism.
Yeah, these are the high-end Satanists.
Yeah.
These are the penthouse Satanists. These are the guys that have achieved they paid their $200. You know what I'm saying? They were active there. They showed up to the potluck dinner. They showed up to bowling night. They showed up to movie night. Shoot, they even surpassed the witch and warlock degree. I mean, straight up. This is like 4th year Hogwarts here. They passed that. So now they're in the priestess, priest, magistra, magister, and maga, magus. They're at the top echelon. And being part of that top echelon, they are now incorporated into the priesthood of Mendes. Let me explain to you what that is. These are the individuals who act as spokespersons for the philosophy of the Church of Satan, which include the titles of priest, priestess, magister, magistra, magus, maga. Members, I'm assuming nobody in these 3 levels has a problem stuttering. Like they would need to properly communicate, you know. Church of Satan is good for everyone. Yeah, that dude, he might be a warlock.
Yeah,
he might
Maybe,
be a warlock.
if he's lucky.
Yeah. But just a non-talking warlock, a mute warlock.
Tom's
and
getting pissed.
my dog didn't like all of my stuttering right now. Yeah, he's stiff right now. He's getting up. He wants to bark. All right. Members of the priesthood make up the Council of 9, which is the ruling body of the organization, appointed by and responsible to the high priest or priestess. Remember, after Anton died, his consort, the mother of Satan Xerxes, she was the high priestess. The order of the trapezoid consists of the individuals who assist in the administration of the Church of Satan. Members of our priesthood are people who of accomplishment in the real world. They have mastered skills and have won peer recognition. This is how they have attained their position, as above, so below. They are the movers and shakers who are the core of our movement. And to end, membership in the priesthood is by invitation only. The old saying says, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. It's certainly pertinent to the priesthood. Word to the wise, do not ask, how do I become a priest? In other words, if you're a Satanist, don't ask how you become a priest. So yeah, that's basically their views.
Yeah.
That's their structure. That's their organization. We're going to get a little bit more into their actual beliefs, but I did want to end this particular podcast with the 9 satanic statements. The 9 satanic statements. And tell me if any of this seems right to you in lieu of your Christian worldview. All right? Now remember, whenever we use the word Satan here, it is a symbol, a representation. Not that they believe in Satan.
Yeah.
It's just it's what society has created Satan to be. So then they just revel in what society has created. So the 9 satanic statements. Satan represents indulgence. Satan represents indulgence instead of abstinence. Man, tell that to a Catholic priest. Woo! Satan, number 2, Satan represents vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams. Okay, that's a knock at me. Satan represents undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit. In other words, religious systems, people believe in them, then they are thus deceiving themselves. Yeah. So if you're a Satanist, do you actually have wisdom? Number 4, Satan represents kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates.
It's an interesting word, ingrate.
Yeah, I know. Just yeah, because I noticed reading through the Satanic Bible, he uses very older English.
Language.
Yeah, older English. Like we would say, instead of love wasted on ungrateful persons or whatever, but Satan represents vengeance instead of turning the other cheek. Ooh, that one goes right to Jesus. Number 6, Satan represents responsibility to the responsible instead of concern for psychic vampires. Number 7, Satan represents man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse than those that walk on all fours, who, because of his divine, spiritual, and intellectual development, has become the most vicious animal of all.
So saying the spiritual people are worse than your average animal.
Exactly. Satan represents all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, or emotional gratification. Okay, I mean,
I guess.
No, I mean, he represents all the sins, and yes, sins in general are gratifying to the flesh.
Yeah.
You know, so Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he has kept it in business all these years. In other words, the church uses Satan to their benefit, and they scare people into believing in Jesus, to reject the devil. So Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had.
I mean, I will say that this list is correct because Satan does represent everything that is evil, which includes this list.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with this list.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want you guys to understand that we're giving you what they believe from the perspective of them. I know sometimes it might sound like just coming out of our mouths some things, but yeah, I try to represent, unless I just start laughing and making fun of them. But I try to represent, because remember, I read their books. I don't download the Christian guide to preach to Satanists. No, I went to look for their stuff. Like, if you literally look the Santeria books, I went and I found the actual Santeria books.
Yeah.
And look, I even started highlighting. So I don't want to give you the perspective from a Christian perspective of the Satanist. I'm telling you what they believe. I'm just telling you what they believe, in lieu of the fact that we know the truth is Jesus Christ. We know that Christ is real, that Christ exists. At the same time, we know Satan exists. And at the same time, we know that there is good and there is evil. Satan, yes, is the embodiment of evil, because he is a fallen angel that disobeyed and has become the god of this world, the prince of darkness. But then we also believe that the Son of God, Jesus Christ, God himself, became incarnate to come and redeem a lost world that was lost due to Satan. So that's basically the overview of what they believe, of some of their structures, and then their 9 satanic statements. And then we're going to get into some of their other teachings next time, but I'm trying to see some of the stuff that I have some of the stuff that I wrote down here. Oh yeah, because I read the books of Satan, the number 1 through it, and I highlighted the ones that were just like complete out blasphemous, Okay, the way their satanic Bible works, just so you guys know, is they start out with an introduction, they got a prologue, and then they base the Bible itself is broken up into 4 different books or different subsections. The first section after the 9 satanic statements is the book of fire, which is the book of Satan, and that's 5 chapters. And then the next book or subsection is air. So you got fire, air, earth, and water. So you got fire is the book of Satan. Air is the book of Lucifer. The third one is the book of Belial, which is earth. And then the fourth one is the book of Leviathan, water. So in the book of Satan, which is the first book, I highlighted some of the things here that I just thought were just like way out there. In the first book, the 10th verse, I gaze into the glassy eye of your fearsome Jehovah and pluck him by the beard. I uplift a broad axe and split open his worm-eaten skull.
Yeah, I read that one.
Yeah, that's pretty sick, huh? In the next book here, I'm actually going to share this with you so that you're not like kind of not wondering what's doing. In the second book of Satan, or the second chapter, I guess if you want to call it that. Behold the crucifix. What does it symbolize? Pallid incompetence hanging on a tree. Horrible. The 13th verse of that book, the second book. The most dangerous of all enthroned lies is the holy, the sanctified, the privileged lie, the lie everyone believes to be a model truth. It is the fruitful mother of all other popular errors and delusions. It is a hydra-headed tree of unreason with 1,000 roots. It is a social cancer. So basically, everything that we believe in is a lie. The lie that is known to be a lie is half eradicated, but the lie that even intelligent persons accept as fact, the lie that has been inculcated in a little child at his mother's knee, is more dangerous to contend against than a creeping pestilence. So once again, just completely knocking down. Then I highlighted a bunch of stuff, but yeah, that's just a little preview
we'll get into it next week.
Of just the horribleness that is Satanism and just this entire look. The more we go through these religions, or in this particular case, this group or cult, the more you really start to see Satan's work at hand. Like, you're taught your whole life, like, Satan is a liar, he's a deceiver, he's a this and he's a that. But the more you get into this, the more you realize all that is true, man. Like, Satan is a liar and a deceiver. His whole job is to discredit Christ and to put up other stuff and to deceive people. And there's so many avenues. And I know we're just giving you guys, like, it might seem like we're bashing at sometimes, but man, it really hurts to see how people allow themselves to be deceived by the devil unknowingly, and in this case, knowingly.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So we'll live to live another week, and then we'll read more about this and then bring it to you.
I mean, you could literally see the deception, and you create a religion named after the guy that you're not worshiping. The religion stands for everything that he wants you to do, but you don't believe he's real.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't want you to think he's real.
Exactly.
He wants you to think he's fake, so then you keep doing all these evil things.
Exactly. No, it's funny. You went to book 5, and book 5 is basically the Sermon on the Mount. It's him refuting everything Jesus said on the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes of Jesus Christ. It's him basically saying, just so you know, the first one, blessed are the strong, for they shall possess the earth. Cursed are the weak, for they shall inherit the yoke. It's everything Jesus taught flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Satan does, right? So.
All right. Well, this was a little introduction. Now we'll get into the meat and potatoes next week with the actual book that he wrote, Anton.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week. And I didn't say this earlier. If you're still here, please like and subscribe and share the video. It helps us out, helps the channel grow, helps more people to see this. So.
You didn't say that at the beginning?
I don't think so.
Oh, you know what? With the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that. Let's be professional. I'm probably still gonna do it.
Yeah. All right. See you guys next week.
God bless you all. Take care.